Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Conversation Over Drinks. I'm Coach Wolverine.
Coach Kelowna.
And today we're actually going to be talking to you about imposter syndrome while re-implementing some of that physical, vulnerable discomforts that we used to do all the time by adding in this little game that Coach Kelowna lovely decided to bring called Bean Boozled.
I don't know if you've seen this, but the only one that I knew about was the one that had the nasty tasting jelly beans and the good ones. You didn't know what you're getting. These are just all really spicy. The idea of a spicy jelly bean in the first place, not for me. So, yeah, we're going to figure out how this is going to go. I think we do one, and then depending on how awful it is, we might do another one about halfway through.
All right, so, yes, imposter syndrome. Well, what do I want here?
Just spin it. Just don't even. Oh. Or do you want me? I'll spin it for you. How about that? And then you spin it.
It doesn't spin out there. I tried. Oh. It's got to sit in that thing. Sriracha.
Lucky.
All right. I think this is a sriracha.
Just red.
All right. And then here, we'll do one at the same time. No, that's mulligan. That's a good spin.
Sweet.
Carolina Reapers. Yours is red with the black spots.
That one?
Looks like it. All right.
Dope.
Ready?
So you got the best one, and I got the worst one. So.
It actually tastes like sriracha. I'm not into it in the jelly bean thing.
Dude, this is awful.
Yeah. Okay. Imposter syndrome. Oh man, these are spicy. So,
Are you serious?
What's up?
Right, let's do this.
Damn it.
Do you have the hiccups?
Yeah, I get hiccups from spice.
You could have told me that before we started. I might cry. So imposter syndrome, which if you don't know what that is essentially a belief in ourselves that we don't know what we're doing, we're inadequate in some way, even with something that we're doing. So like, it's something that coaches struggle with a lot. Should we get you like a water?
That'll be good.
Especially when we get started, because there's so many coaches out there, or there's so many trainers, or there's so many people doing these types of things, and the ones that we're exposed to are the ones. Dude, I'm dying.
This is awful. This is a lot spicier than normal sriracha. I promise you, because I love sriracha.
The ones that we're exposed to are the ones that have been doing it for a long time, or they have like professional teams putting their stuff together, all this stuff. So when it comes to like looking at getting started, or like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, it's very difficult. And I know a lot of people tend to want to be like, okay, I'm gonna go work for someone else, learn the ropes, do this, do that, gain experience, and then move on. And that helps to stave off imposter syndrome. But the imposter syndrome as a collective can show up at any time. It doesn't matter how successful you are, how anything is, because it's an internal view of yourself. It can be there at any time.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is understanding that this brings us back to the comparisons that we've talked about a ton. If you are constantly comparing yourselves to people that are way further down the road than you are always gonna feel like shit.
So it's also rooted in another aspect I know for myself, because an aspect of that I struggled with this a lot, and it's been a waving off and on. And the other aspect that I was obsessive over was the need to have everything figured out before starting.
Perfectionism.
The perfectionism aspect of the imposter syndrome. And it's still something that creeps up from time to time. It's one of those things where I believe it's like a trigger. You're just aware of the trigger. And as time goes on, and the trigger is, when the light bulb of the trigger is lit, right, you start removing the the rocks in your inner cave and start reading the hieroglyphics on the walls of your mind and start understanding why we are the way we are, we realize that imposter syndrome is complete bogus.
It's bullshit.
Where we compare ourselves to other people is like we're literally one thing that I use with no, I'm not doing another
And maybe
one.
cayenne would have been less shitty.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. That was spicy for sriracha. One thing I always use with my clients is, you know, when you compare your life to another life, it's like comparing an apple to a toaster. The most in common that each life has, you know, for the toaster and the apple is they're both in the category of food. One's preparing food, one is food to already consume. That is how unique our lives are. I know we brought this up before, but if we had a deck of cards and we were to throw it up into the air, what's the probability it's going to land the same way twice?
Almost zero.
Exactly.
Pretty much
Yeah.
zero.
Zero. Like 0.00 repeating 1% chance that it could happen. And that's the uniqueness of our lives. Dude, that's gonna make it worse.
Minty gum?
Yeah, it's so sweet. It's gonna open up your taste buds.
Well,
I appreciate it though.
I'm gonna try it. 'Cause this is bad.
Oh man, it's finally passed. So, imposter syndrome is a bitch. I do not like it. I'm sure everybody dislikes it. One thing though that I found to get over imposter syndrome is literally just using that feeling in your gut where you're just like, ugh, like when you know your ego's been poked in and around it, and using that as a tell. It's like, all right, lean into it. You got to lean into it, right? Because you're not ever going to be good enough until you try it. You have to do things to be able to learn and know how to do things. We can't be experts before we've even done the things.
The fastest way to learn is to fail, right?
Absolutely.
And as uncomfortable as that is, it is the fastest way to learn as long as you're doing it with the open mind. Like, hey, I'm not going to get this perfect round one. I'm going to be diligent with how I reflect on what I'm doing. Reflection is powerful, but it has to be done with a purpose. I'm sorry. But the reflection is so key when you start doing something, because if you do it and you're just like, oh, well, okay, now there's 100 other things I need to do, but it's like, okay, well, I did one. You need to celebrate every time you knock a new wall down, find a success. For like us and coaches and clients, like every time that our clients hit a new milestone, we want to do a little celebration with them, whether it's whatever, we meet up, we grab a coffee, we do something, right? Like these types of things are really going to help elevate the fact that we're breaking walls and we're helping other people break walls as well, and set milestones and all that stuff. So I don't know, man, like my mouth's on fire.
Yeah, I don't even know if what I was putting out there actually made sense.
I heard it. We heard it. This one's a little more fun because imposter syndrome as a collective, like you can kind of hammer it down right away. It's like, hey, we don't believe in ourselves. What are we going to do? The biggest thing we can do is start getting shit done.
Start doing it. Actually, do the thing that we're afraid to do.
And when 100 people tell you you're doing a good job, you're probably doing a good job. So like if everybody you're talking to says you're doing good or supportive and everything's going good all the time, and one person says something bad that's like 1 to 100, well, okay, take what that person said, build it into everything else, take all the good stuff from everyone that's supporting you, and move forward. Unless you're moving forward, it's just going to feel shitty for a really long time.
Yeah, because the biggest thing to remember, and this is one that I've used, or that I've dealt with a lot, is when you see those shitty comments, or you hear the shitty comments, or you feel like somebody's talking about you behind your back, or basically looking down as to whatever it is you're trying to do, or talking poorly about your whatever. Most often it's rooted in hurt. They're hurt. So it's through projection, right? Hurt people. A person that is not hurt is not going to intentionally hurt someone else.
There's no malicious intent, right? Like,
no, right? Like sometimes it's constructive criticism, right? And sometimes we might be receive things a little bit overinflated or oversensitive, right? And so those are times and moments that we have to introspect, right? Because I've definitely done that, right? In a heated conversation of, you know, with important people in your life, significant others, parents, and they say something just the wrong thing, but because of who it's coming from, it hits the ego a certain way, and then you just feel like reacting, when in hindsight, they were coming from a place of love.
right? Ultimately, the biggest thing is like never take anything with the intent of being malicious. And if you're hanging around people or you're taking like criticism from people that are actually going to be malicious, stop it.
Yeah.
You're going to get the best feedback from someone who's willing to be critical, but also do it in a caring manner. So lean on those around you. Be like, hey, if you want feedback, ask directly for feedback and make sure that it's very clear with them and that you're ready to hear it. If you do not like this, please tell me what you don't like about it, and then find out if there's a way to improve it. Or you just have to decide, like, hey, that's not my target audience, so okay.
There's something actually, so for those of you out there that don't know, Coach Kelowna and I actually had the same first business coach. And there's one thing that he actually used to tell me, because I had imposter syndrome when I was working with him and I was building my business and brand originally, is that imposter syndrome means that you care. You want to be doing a good job. You want to be able to show up efficiently, but we feel like we consciously don't have the skills to do so.
Which is funny because I always pull that to sport, right? Like for me, some of the most important games of my life, I was nervous. And I've talked to people on both sides of that. Oh, you should never be nervous if you're confident. It's like, no, I'm nervous because I care.
Yeah.
I care about the outcome. I care about what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
So I'm like actively spooling myself up. Similar to that is the nervous extension that is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because you're just nervous of failing, right? Or you're providing a service that you see as like really high risk to be a failure, right? In reality, like not everybody we work with is going to get the results that we believe they are going to get.
No.
And those are the hardest people to work with.
I had a client who was so promising, like just gung-ho about everything personal development. And then after the first call, she paid me the first month. She just ghosted. Haven't heard from her since. I've reached out to her numerous times, but she even told me in that first session, she was afraid of confronting those things. She felt like she wasn't good enough.
Which is really hard to hear because like we want everybody to improve, right?
Absolutely.
And we know everyone has the ability to do so. So I think that's the hardest part too, is when you flip the script and like you see the potential in those around you, whether you're supporting a friend or a family member and they're doing something. This is why support is so important, right? Whether it's just handing their business card out to somebody, referring people to them, all these types of things can potentially shatter a wall that people think like, well, they're just saying nice things because they're my friend, or they're doing all this stuff, right? Like that type of support for anyone around you that's trying to make something for themselves is massive. I'm going on a little tangent here, but like absolutely huge. Sending people to a business, sending people to a service, sending people to anything like that is...
There's one thing you said that I just got to touch on that irks me a little bit actually in my own jam, is the inability to accept compliments. Right?
I'm so bad at it.
So, but this is the thing. Okay, and this is for everybody because everybody does this. But if somebody was to bring you a gift and give you this gift, and you look at it, or sorry, let's reverse that. If you were to give somebody a gift, right, and they looked at it and was just like, and give it back, how would you feel?
So much worse than...
Right. So when it comes to compliments, right, a lot of people, it's vulnerable for them to give a compliment, right? Like I know with a lot of my clients with building confidence is I get them, I'm like, 5 days a week, you go out into public and you give a complete random stranger a compliment. Doesn't matter. Hey dude, those are some kick-ass shoes that, or compliment chick's jacket. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Purely to get out of that discomfort zone, but giving a compliment. And the one comment that they say is like, well, what if a compliment gets rejected? Like, well, do you accept compliments? No. Right? How does it feel? Right? It's literally something like to go and give a compliment, right? Is for my clients, it was super vulnerable to get into that space and give somebody a compliment. Right? It's legitimately a gift that you're giving somebody. And for somebody to just like spit on that gift, like it's super not cool.
Not going to feel sweet, but realizing that your intent was positive, then that's the biggest thing, right? My intention was positive. They took it the wrong way because of something that they've got going on. But I really like that, actually. I got a couple clients I might talk to about that. But
yeah, it's something because I was the same way. But it's in that imposter syndrome, right? When somebody gives us a compliment about something that we're doing, And all of a sudden we're like, well, no, like that's not me. I'm not that good. Like don't pump up my tires.
Gym
Like,
culture is bad.
exactly.
It's really bad.
Right?
for
If
it,
somebody
right?
compliments you on your form or a good squat or bench press, it's like, oh, it's not that good. It's okay. Thanks, but
Yeah, thanks, but I'm not you or whatever, right? Like that's such a cliche, but that's the reality of it. We're so bad at doing compliments that we have a script to give it back in the gym, right? Like it's literally a meme. So
yeah,
it's
thanks, Bo, but it's nothing compared to your effort in the gym. Like we deflect, right? And it's because we feel so many of us are walking perpetually through life as imposters in our own skin. We're wearing a facade mask.
So for me, I guess on that, like I'm trying to do better at like someone gives me a compliment, I'm like, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Do you feel obligated to give a compliment back?
I do though, because and not because of like that's because we see good things in other people now. Like we're wired that way, right? So it's like I want to immediately share the same thing you just gave me back. So sometimes after the fact, I'm like, oh man, like I didn't say back. But that's different, I guess, because it's like again, it's rooted in the right place and like.
Is it legitimately a compliment that you're returning back, or are you just giving back the compliment because you feel like you need to?
Right?
Yeah.
That's the difference. So I just kind of stopped, and I like honestly, there's probably someone who's gonna be like, "Oh, I'll never say anything to him again. He didn't say anything nice back." And I was like, "I'm just genuinely trying to accept compliments." Or little things like gestures too, right? Like people don't know how to handle nice gestures because not a lot of time that like people do randomly nice things.
This is one that actually bugs me.
This might be 2 episodes.
That might be because this is starting to trail, right? Or but like when guys do something nice for women and they think that it's flirting, when it's just being nice.
See, being kind. We've talked about that.
Yeah. This is
being
true.
nice versus being kind, right? If you scroll back a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or is that out next
Let
time?
me rephrase that. Is the
intent of a deed.
Yeah, when the deeds are taken intently. Oh man, I'm fumbling. That
it.
spice went to my brain.
If you're doing something nice with the intention of doing something nice and not the intention of receiving something nice back, that's actually being nice. The other one's just being a manipulative dickhead.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? This quid pro quo thing, the sooner you get out of that mentality when it comes to compliments and just being nice, then the sooner we can change it. And to me, right, the amount of like girls that I've talked to that have told me about their experiences with a lot of dudes, like they do a nice thing, they expect X and Y. Well, then they're not really being nice. They're just like, right? They're trying to manipulate the situation. So by all rights, if they've had hundreds and hundreds of interactions like that, then obviously they're going to assume. So it's technically up to all of us to just be better.
They are. But we're definitely veering off of the imposter syndrome now.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. This is 2 This is 2 totally, and we're way over it anyway. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with that is, right, is like their conditioned response is that, right? They just immediately are like, well, he just wants whatever. That's fine. But if you see the same person be nice and do kind things everywhere they go, this is again the difference between being kind and being nice, right? If you're gonna like help a lady with her groceries, all those classic things you see or talk about or whatever, if you're gonna do any of those things to be kind and you're constantly doing all those, someone sees you again later doing something kind, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, maybe he's just nice. Right? I mean, we're gonna run into all that. That's a whole other thing we get into, but maybe that's another day.
Again.
Is your mouth still on fire? Because my mouth's on fire.
My mouth's actually feeling not too bad.
You got the better one.
Hence the no more hiccups as well.
And my nose is leaking.
But yeah, imposter syndrome. Okay, everybody deals with it in some part of their life. We all do. We do. Basically, it means that you're wanting to show up 100% to capacity, which is a good thing. But then you can use that as a tell, is that when you want to do something and you feel like, and you actually want to do something, but you find your subconscious trying to talk yourself out of it, you use that as almost like a check engine light. It's like, no, you need to follow through with that. You owe it to yourself to follow through with it and see what you're capable of doing. And here's the thing, is comparing ourselves to people that are ahead of us. We're only comparing ourselves to their successes, not to their failures, right? Most people's failures don't get showcased. There's very few people that do that. And that's why we come on here to talk about some of these things, right? Is showcasing our failures, our vulnerabilities, what we've gone through, right? Like I try to use myself as an example, not to pump my tires, but to show like, yeah, I've messed up too. I've done the mistakes and the things and stuff, and we all deal with it. We really do. So
I think one super important thing you touched on earlier, like we both had the same mentor to get started, right? We had an idea of what we wanted to do. We weren't 100% sure how to do it. So we went and found help with someone who was further down the road. And that's, I think, the next thing is like, okay, you're stuck in a spot where you have this imposter syndrome and there's no certificate, course, anything that's going to take that away. So maybe it's time for you to get a coach, get a mentor, get someone that's really going to hold you accountable to start getting shit done. You can be the highest educated person in the world, but if you don't believe in yourself or believe that you can do this, it doesn't matter. Like we're using coaching as an example because we're here, but any venture you want to take on could just be simple wellness, right? Like anything you want to take on and you don't think you really know what to do, you have an idea or you got some basics, run with it. But if that's only going to take you so far, you have to be learning. You have to have some form of accountability. Some of us are so disciplined and so great at doing it for ourselves, but it's very rare.
And even before that, start. I had a client once back when I was a personal trainer who said he didn't want to come into the gym because he wanted to get into shape before going to the gym.
Do you know how many people would tell me during an initial interview at the gym, I want to work out for a few months by myself and then I'll get a personal trainer?
Yeah. That's like saying that you need to, that a person doesn't belong to go do banking. Everybody has the option to go banking. Nobody's going to look at the other person and be like, that guy doesn't belong in a bank.
I need to save up X amount of dollars before I can go to the bank.
Yeah.
No, it's a crazy concept, right? And like we're gonna go over this over and over, but we're constantly our own worst enemy. And one of the best ways to do it is to have someone to bounce ideas off of, have someone to help pull you along a little bit.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is about when people are further down the road and they've made mistakes and they've done stuff and they've had these ups and downs and they look at someone who's going through the same shit they are, they want to help.
It's literally what a coach is for. That's literally what we do.
They want to help. So if we can turn 3 to 5 years of what we're doing into 6 months for you, that's what we want.
Yep.
Right? It's not a competition. It's how many people can we help while we're here.
Yep. Exactly.
So, but I think that's it. We
this is a long one.
That's a 2. That's a double. We had fun. I won't be eating another one of these anytime soon. You're welcome.
Oh, thanks. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe on any platform you are consuming this information on. And I hope you have a fantastic day.
Cheers.
Cheers.